live on a Saturday, November 15th. We are the eve before the Week 11 Sunday slate. We do got an early game, so reminders there to wake up early if you want to watch it, or make sure your lineup's all good to go. If you have players in that game, Dolphins Panthers, is it? What is the Dolphins Commanders? So not a great game there, but it is on tomorrow, 6:30 West Coast time, 9:30 Eastern time. Here answering your questions. So drop them in the chat if you have them. We will try and help you get that W. We got 4 weeks left, man. Still a lot. 4 weeks left of the regular season, right? 11, 12, 13, and 14. Still a lot. That's still, 30%, roughly 30% of your fantasy regular season, but also not a lot, right? So it's go time. We gotta win. We gotta win. As always, guys, hit that like button for us. Get some eyes on this video. Akshay says start one tight end, full PPR. Loveland, Theo, Johnson. That's a pretty good trio of tight ends there. I would probably say all of them are in my top 15. I would say Otton and Theo Johnson are in my top 10, and I would lean Cade Otton. The most. Now, I know the Bills are the number one team against tight ends. We kind of looked at that yesterday, and tight ends are, when it comes to those type of stats, like points given up and stuff, you have to kind of look at like who they played, especially with tight ends. And, the Bills this year, they haven't played McBride. They haven't played Bowers. They haven't played Tyler Warren. I mean, hell, they haven't even played like Jake Ferguson. I'm just looking at the top tight ends this year, right? And who the Bills have played. I think they haven't played Tucker Kraft, if I remember correctly. So they haven't played a lot of the top tight ends. The best tight ends they've played are Kelsey, who had a decent game, 4 for 66, Juwan Johnson, Hunter Henry. So these are kind of the best tight ends that they've played. I would go Otton still, even though the matchup isn't great for them. If you didn't feel great about that, matchup for Otton, then my pivot would be Theo Johnson. So he would be second. Both Theo Johnson and Otton are in my top 12. I have Otton at 8, Theo Johnson at 10, and then I have Loveland at 15. So thanks, Shondo. Appreciate you. Go Padres if you're a Padres fan. If not, still go Padres. So have a good weekend as well. Hopefully, if you enjoy college football, we got a lot of college football on today. Obviously, we got some big games. Indiana's playing in about an hour. Pittsburgh, Notre Dame in an hour is a top 25 matchup there. Big playoff implications there. Texas A&M's playing. Cincinnati, Michigan. A lot of teams playing early. Do we have another? USC and Iowa is going to be a good game. 2 top 24 teams. Alabama, Oklahoma. Georgia, Texas, man, we got some banger games for sure. UFC tonight, if you like UFC, we got a big UFC event tonight. So Akshay says start one flex full PPR, Flowers, Metcalf, Judkins, and Harvey. Start one full PPR, Flowers, Judkins, Metcalf, Harvey, JMO. Man, you're only starting one of these guys? Actually, you have a good team then, huh? I would probably say that my highest is going to be Flowers. I do think if you're shooting for upside a little bit, probably JMO has the most upside. I don't want to start Harvey. I'm fine starting Harvey this week, but when you have really good options like this, I probably don't want to start Harvey over these guys and just kind of wait and see. Judkins, I'm a little bit worried he gets game scripted out a little bit against Baltimore. Their defense has improved. It could be kind of a blowout there potentially. The defense could also keep it close for sure. So, but I'm a little bit worried about being game scripted out. Metcalf has just been a little bit too inconsistent, but man, he has a great matchup. But he also didn't do anything. He didn't really do anything the last time they played, right? The Bengals and the Steelers. So I think I'm actually leaning Flowers here. If you go and look at Zay Flowers and kind of what he's been really, really good. He just hasn't been catching touchdowns. He's been giving you basically 11.5 PPR points each and every week. double-digit PPR points each and every week. He's just not catching a touchdown, unfortunately. So I think I lean Flowers. My second would be Metcalf. There. Start one running back full PPR and one QB. Baker, McCarthy, Rogers. If McCarthy or Rogers, will have to drop Sean Tucker. So you're saying you would drop Tucker to pick up McCarthy or Rogers, or do you just start Baker? I think I just start Baker there. Now, I will say this. To me, they're all very close. They're all kind of like low-end QB1s this week for me. So, the idea of dropping Sean Tucker, I don't know for sure, but I think that Bucky Irving is probably back next week. He was practicing this week, and he was pretty close. He didn't get ruled out till yesterday, right? He didn't get ruled out till yesterday. I'm just double checking if he was practicing. I assume he was practicing in limited and not full. Let's see here. Bucky Irving practiced limited. So he's practicing. I would assume that he's back next week. So if you're not starting Sean Tucker this week, I don't mind dropping Sean Tucker, because when Bucky's back and Rachaad White's there, I don't think Sean Tucker is really going to have a role. So if you felt better about one of those other quarterbacks than McCarthy and Rogers, I wouldn't mind dropping Tucker if you're not starting him. If you're starting him this week, that's a whole different story, right? So if I had to order it, I would go Baker, McCarthy, Rogers, but they're all really close. And so, yeah, I mean, I would trust your gut in that one, and I wouldn't. If you're not starting Sean Tucker, don't worry about dropping him. Then, I guess, is my whole spiel there. Shaboy Poppy. Maybe I'm saying that wrong. Trade away James Cook, Pittman, Sutton for Derrick Henry, Ladd, and Algier. Parker Washington / DK will be wide receiver too, but have Gibbs and JT Helps / Herbert. So you're trading away Pittman, Sutton. Okay. I'll say I want Derrick Henry over James Cook. I want Ladd over Pittman and Sutton. Like, I would take Ladd over those three. They're pretty close, I would say, but I would take Ladd over the three. So to me, you're getting an upgrade at running back and an upgrade at wide receiver, and you're trading your kind of depth at wide receiver a little bit to get Tyler Algier, who is a really good handcuff, obviously. Yeah, I don't mind that trade. At all. I think I don't think it's a smash like you're winning, but I do think you're improving both in, like, right now. What you're starting Pittman and Sutton, right? You're starting Pittman and Sutton, Gibbs, JT, James Cook, right? That's kind of what your lineup is. You're starting Justin Herbert, James Cook, Jahmyr Gibbs, Jonathan Taylor, Courtland Sutton, Michael Pittman, and then whatever your tight end is. I assume you're in a start 7. So now you're going from that to starting Herbert, Gibbs, JT, Derrick Henry, which I think is an improvement over starting Gibbs. Ladd, which I think is an improvement over either Sutton or Pittman, whoever you view as your wide receiver 1. And then Parker Washington, there's a drop off from like Parker Washington or DK to, from them to Pittman or Sutton. So, but I think the improvement is enough there. It's a solid trade all around, I think. To here, I traded Hendy and Pittman for Bowers and Demon. I don't start Pittman. Did I lose? I mean, so Pittman is your bench piece, right? It's tough to say whether you lose or not, to be honest. It really is tough to say. If Bowers is what we what we know he is capable of, which is, week 1, 5 for 103. November, a couple weeks ago, 12 for 127 and 3 touchdowns. Like, obviously he's not going to do that, but if he kind of performs like that, then I think you win this trade. If he performs like last week, which is 1 for 31 against a tough matchup, then you probably lose it. So I think you win it overall, because I do think Bowers is closer to that, 100-yard touchdown type of touchdown type of tight end. So yeah, I think you did. I think you're going to win that trade there, and we'll see. Trades, you can't always win trades, but it's just how things roll, right? So keep the questions coming, guys, and obviously hit that like button for us, please. Helps get eyes on the video for us. And yeah, keep the questions coming as always. I'm going to start checking my lineups as well, see if I have any roster or lineup decisions to make here or players to pick up here. That will be an interesting one for sure. I think I'm good here. But yeah, we got don't forget, we got the Spain game tomorrow. So make sure you set your lineup. I don't know if there's any questionable players in that game, so I don't think you need to worry about that too much. But always make sure and double check. Sleeper. If you play on Sleeper, you should have your commissioner, or if you are the commissioner, you should enable the emergency starter. So you can, if someone gets ruled out, then another player gets put into that lineup just in case you don't have time to go and change your lineup or something like that. That was kind of made for these Europe games and stuff like that. So, but yeah, not really a lot of questionable players and all that for those two. So, and then yeah, we got. I feel like this week, man, is kind of like this is the week where I think teams are going to start to separate themselves. We're going to learn a lot more about who the top teams are in the league. I just think there's a lot of big matchups this week, so it should be a good week. I mean, just looking at some of these ones, Jags Chargers. I know people probably aren't super excited to watch that, but that I heard that game has the highest playoff implication game. Like if the Chargers win, they're like a 70% chance to make the playoffs. If they lose, they're like 30, and then Jags are 50% if they win, 15% if they lose. It has the biggest swing in playoff implications. Vikings Bears is going to be this is going to be fun. Bills Bucks is going to be fun. Steelers Bengals, sneaky fun, because if the Bengals if they can pull off a couple wins here, we could get Joe Burrow back. I mean, you look at the standings of the AFC North, and the Bengals are only 2 games back of the Steelers, and they play the Steelers this week, and so they can get within 1 game. You start winning, and Joe Burrow potentially comes back. You got Rams Seahawks, which is maybe the top 2 teams in the entire NFL. If you're making power rankings and stuff like that, where we stand right now on November 15th, those could be the top 2 teams. They're definitely probably the top 2 teams in the NFC. Broncos Chiefs is going to be fun. Eagles Lions. So there's a lot of big time games here. And like Kevin says, this is push in week for NFL and fantasy. Yeah, this is the week for fantasy as well. It's interesting because I feel like, and you guys can tell me if your leagues are like this too, but I'm looking at my redraft leagues, and I only have a couple. I play more Dynasty, but there's kind of there's a couple top heavy teams, and then there's a lot of teams that are all right there. I'm looking at it here. So we play in a setting where you play 1 against the league median. So you get potential of 2 points each and every week, right? And so the difference between 6th place and 11th place is just a couple of weeks in standings, right? There's still a chance for that. Now, is it likely? No, but there's a chance for it, right? So it feels like there's a lot of muddied up in the middle there. So it is go time for sure here. So yeah, a lot of trading in dynasties this week. Yep. By the way, if you play in dynasty, my personal opinion, I don't know if you guys are commissioners of leagues or not, and everyone has their own different opinion about trade deadlines in dynasty. I personally don't think there should be trade deadlines, and I think it's one of the biggest mistakes we make when it comes to making the rules in Dynasty is putting trade deadlines. I honestly think like that you should be able to trade at any point at any time in the season because you need to be able to capitalize on the value of your players all at any point in time, right? When I started to believe in this like a couple years ago, and it was when if you remember Ty Chandler had a stretch run there at the end of 2022, was it? Or 23? I think it was 23 actually. Yeah. 2023, Ty Chandler was he was awesome in weeks 15 through 18. He rushed for in 4 games, 250 yards. So he's averaging 65 rushing yards, a half a touchdown. You know, he wasn't like amazing, but like he was a relevant player. And a lot of people put trade deadlines, you know, right as the last week of the NFL season. And so literally like you could have gotten like Ty Chandler's value was the highest during those 4 weeks, and a lot of people's trade deadlines were done, right? And so like I just think that one, it fosters trading even more when you have no trade deadline, and two, teams that are tanking or teams that are out of it should be able to capitalize as much as possible on the value of their players, and teams that are trying to win a championship, hey, I don't even care. Like if you go into week 17 of the fantasy championship, it's the Sunday night football game. You need a Hail Mary. You trade for someone, you trade for a stud in that Sunday night football game and plug them into your lineup to try and win the championship. Like you should be allowed to do that. Right. So I think that's one of the biggest mistakes like dynasty leagues make is no trade deadlines. So I have a 10-0 team. Wow. 10-0 is nice. Traded Olave, my 26 first, and Bill for Justin Jefferson. Yeah, I mean, I think that's a good trade for you. I kind of look at it as of right now, like Olave and a 26 first for Justin Jefferson, and I think that's solid for. You know, I assume that player with Justin Jefferson was rebuilding. Like Olave has been good this year, man. Like I think we need to acknowledge like how good Olave has been this year with Tyler Shuck and Spencer Rattler. You know, Olave's wide receiver 9 on the year, wide receiver 12 in points per game. Like he's literally in both categories, points per game and in total points. He is a top 12 wide receiver this year. And he's doing it with Shuck and Rattlers, but obviously like you want Justin Jefferson. Although Justin Jefferson, Olave has been better than Justin Jefferson this year, which is funny, but obviously you still want Jefferson. So I think it's a good trade on both sides. Bill, we'll see. I was high on Bill. Obviously had him as like a sleeper all the way back in March. Didn't play it, obviously like that. You capitalized on that his value as much as you could. So. This is prime time for rebuilders and contenders to get what they need. No trade deadline. Yeah. I at first I was kind of like on there needs to be a trade deadline. But it's like, why? Obviously, redraft, you need a trade deadline, right? Like redraft, it should be, to me, it should be right before the playoffs. But you should also, as the commissioner, monitor, okay, these teams are out. They can't make trades, right? Like kind of block them from trading, like, teams that are out and stuff. But like, yeah, why should there be a trade deadline like in Dynasty? There really shouldn't. There really, really shouldn't. There's so many each and every week. I'm going to pull it up right now. Like I'm going to look at players who went off in the playoffs over the last few years here, and just kind of see like some players here that went off. Like let's look at running backs here. Last year. Was there anyone that kind of like, Tajay Spears last year? Tajay Spears last year was RB13 in points per game. But if you had a trade deadline, you couldn't capitalize. Amir Abdullah last year, his playoffs, I'm going to just look at playoffs actually. Amir Abdullah last year was RB9 in points per game. Like, was anyone trading for Amir Abdullah? No. But, like, could you have at least gotten a third-round pick for him, right? a 4th round pick even. I don't even, like after the season was done, you couldn't trade Amir Abdullah for anything, right? Like, yeah, nice. He had a good 3 weeks, but no one was trading for him. Jerome Ford had a big stretch there. Ronnie Rivers was RB 23 in points per game during weeks. I'm looking at weeks 15 through 18 of last year. Like Ronnie freaking Rivers, man. Like, could you have gotten something for him? No, if you had a trade deadline. Let's see, wide receivers here. Obviously, Jalen McMillan, Marvin Mims had a big stretch of weeks here. Adam Thielen, Quentin Johnston, Olamide Zaccheaus and stuff. Like, there's just these guys every single year. Like, you should be able to get something for them. But you can't if there's a trade deadline. 2023, let's see who we had here. Anyone that's a little strange. Dontavian Wicks was awesome in 2023 down the stretch. Darius Slayton, Josh Palmer. So running backs. Jerick McKinnon. Oh, he only had 1 week actually. And then he got hurt. Zamir White's another perfect example. Zamir White was RB 12 in weeks 15 through 18 in 2023. He averaged almost 15 and a half PPR points. Never had more value than that moment in time, right? You think Winston finishes the season out for the Giants? Is there any benefit? I do think there's benefit. I know a lot of people talk about this, like, Jackson Dart's good. What's the point here? Let him rest. I do think there's benefits. A couple of them. Kafka, the interim head coach for the Giants, Mike Kafka, he's been kind of rumored to be a potential coaching candidate, right? He was the Chiefs. He was with the Chiefs there for several years with like the Mahomes-Reed situation, and then he went on to be the Giants offensive coordinator in 22 and 23, and then he was, been there. He's been their offensive coordinator / assistant head coach. Giants may legitimately be looking at Kafka as their next coaching candidate, and they need to see him with Jackson Dart. Another thing is Jackson Dart just needs reps. He needs to play. He needs to learn and grow. Every single game is valuable in my opinion. This last week, I went back and watched like Jackson Dart a lot and was just kind of watching him and like how he's playing and stuff like that. And I'm a little bit hesitant on just like crowning Jackson Dart as like, oh yeah, he's awesome. He needs to learn how to progress through his reads. He's a one read and run, take off and run type of quarterback. If his first read is covered, he runs, and which is why he runs a lot, and which is why he's been getting hurt. The guy's had like 3 or 4 concussions in the 6 or 7 games he played, and like in the preseason he had one as well. So like he needs to learn how to progress because teams are going to be able to shut down that first read pretty easily. You can't run an offense that's a first read offense. Like you have to be able to progress through your reads, right? Even for fantasy, like that stuff can get shut down. So I'm a little bit concerned about that with him. And that's kind of that was my concerns. That was my difficulties when it came to like evaluating Ole Miss players in general. Like Trey Harris was a big one that people were talking about, where it was just like, their offense was it was quick game. It was quick game. You're in shotgun. It was one step and throw, hitch routes, quick hitch routes, slant routes, wide receiver screens or go routes. Like that's all it was, right? Hitch routes, go routes, slant routes, wide receiver screens. Like that's all they ran. And it was like, getting the ball out quick. And that's the offense he ran. And it works for college, obviously. But it doesn't work for the NFL over long periods of time. So, Jackson Dart needs to learn more. He needs to get better in that area. So I'm not ready to just say like he's a player that I wouldn't be shocked if he doesn't learn how to progress through his reads. He's a player that wouldn't be shocked. Like we're looking at him next year in his second year and he has that sophomore slump pretty hard. Right. But also he could just like, what we've seen from him is awesome and he could just get better. Like that's obviously like a possibility here too. So yeah, I do think there's value in Dart still playing. Like if you had a serious injury, or an injury that could lead to a more serious injury, I would maybe play with this idea of like benching him rest of season, but it's a concussion. Not to say like concussions aren't serious, but like it's not like potential ACL, Achilles, stuff like that, right? Obviously, again, these are serious injuries, concussions, and especially if you're piling them up, like it gets a little bit scary, right? It gets a little bit scary for sure. But yeah, guys, keep the questions coming. If not, we'll probably take off a little bit early today. Start Janu or Hawk. Janu or Hawk. Man, how far Hawkinson has fallen, huh? I think I'm still going Hawk. I like the Bears matchup. Like, it's just a lot of points could be scored in that game. Bears give up. They're about in the top 10 of most points given up to tight ends. Again, who have they played? Let's see here at the tight end position. They have played Hawkinson. Well, no. Did Hawkinson play week 1? Yeah, he did. They played Laporta. I think Laporta had a big game against them, if I remember correctly. Actually, Laporta was kind of shut down against them. So they've played some good tight ends here. They played Hawkinson. They played Laporta. They've played Ferguson. They played Brock Bowers. Yeah, so, a little bit skewed. They played some of the top tight ends in the league here. Mark Andrews and stuff like that. So I would still go Hawkinson, but I'm not excited about it. Is there no one else better? Like, is Theo Johnson on the waiver wire, Kevin? Is Dalton Schultz on the waiver wire? Musgrave, Loveland, all these guys I would start over both those players, to be honest. Hell, I might even start. Actually, no, I wouldn't. No, I wouldn't. So, yeah, tough there. It is tough there. But yeah, keep those questions coming. If not, I got a lot to do today, so don't mind taking off a little bit early, but also want to get and answer all of your guys' questions here as much as possible. We won't be live tomorrow. It's the last European game. After that, we'll be live Sundays before the games, hour before the games. But European games, people are just watching it. We don't get a lot of people hopping in and asking questions because people are watching the game. So one more European game, and then we are done there. And yeah, exciting times. Exciting times. But anyways, guys, probably going to take off here. Appreciate all of you. Waller or not. Is Waller even, what's going on with Waller? Is he healthy? I haven't even been paying attention. No, he's still on injury reserve, huh? Dawson, honestly, I don't mind Dawson Knox. I'm trying to think, would I start Knox over those guys? Probably not, but I don't mind it. Nah, I'd probably just stick with Hawkinson, to be honest. So, but anyways, guys, appreciate you all, and we will catch you all Monday night after the games. So, see you all then, and enjoy your Saturday. Take care.